So it's October 2nd, and we're pressing 1 barrel's worth of 100-year-old aligoté from the commune of Meursault. And I thought it would be an interesting opportunity to talk about pressing white grapes. Now, this is a basket press. It's the most rudimentary, traditional kind of press until about 50 years ago. Pretty much all wines everywhere were made using these presses. And a press like this has a direct link in terms of how it functions with the wine presses of antiquity and the Middle Ages. And it's simply a basket, a cage, which retains the fruit, and then in this case a pneumatic unit that creates the pressure. There are even more rudimentary versions which have a sort of ratchet, and you pump it up and the juice comes out and it percolates through the cake. This is a small press, so you don't need to have any they're called escortins. They used to be rush mats that people would put to make layers to allow the juice to percolate laterally instead of having to go all the way through the cake to get to the bottom. And then once you're done, once the cake's more or less dry, if you want to get a bit more juice, you can open up the cage and break up the cake. And that's called a rebêche, which is a sort of French agricultural implement of yesteryear, somewhat reminiscent of a mattock, I suppose. And you'll see I'm going to do a few follow-up videos looking at more modern presses, and we still use the word rebêche for the process of breaking the cake, even though it's obviously no longer done manually. Now, there are two real aspects of pressing white grapes to make white wine. The first, obviously, is to extract the juice with which the wine is made from the solids. But there's also a process of extraction that goes on. And in a traditional press like this, in order to get any juice at all, you really have to crush the grapes first, foulage in French. So you crush the grapes and you press them. And it takes 5 or 6 hours to get a decent yield of juice out of a thing like this. And in the process, you're extracting flavanols, tannins, all sorts of interesting things that bring flavor, structure, antioxidant capacity to the wine. At the same time, also, you hear a lot of people talking about black Chardonnay and must oxidation. Well, with a press like this, unless you're adding an awful lot of sulfur, dry ice, things like that, it's very difficult to prevent some degree of enzymatic browning of the juice, and that's just unavoidable. So, I think anyone who's operated a wine press that isn't completely protected from oxygen, which is increasingly rare now, will sometimes smile a bit when people start asking if you oxidize your juice. I mean, it's going to oxidize. That's the nature of the beast. So, anyway, and it's not a particularly efficient way of pressing grapes, but I think it does yield a very good result. It's also extremely economical. A press like this costs about 800 euros compared to 25,000 for a state-of-the-art pneumatic press. But anyway, in follow-up videos, I'm going to show a Vaslin press, sort of mechanical press, very popular in the 70s in Burgundy, and how they work. We'll go inside one and show you the chains and all the sort of idiosyncrasies of the Vaslin press. And then a final episode will be on state-of-the-art pneumatic press. You can see how those work. And there are not many people who make white Burgundy using vertical press these days. Jean-Marie Guffins in the Mâconnais, the Thévenet family, there are a few people for sure. And I think people are beginning to get a little bit more interested in it. Someone like William Kelley in Germany uses a vertical press for a lot of his wines. So it's a very interesting technique, and I think it's one we're going to be hearing a bit more about as the wine world moves a little bit back to the future in the next coming years.